And how did I conquer it? I mean, I just did it. I think I did it before I had a chance to start worrying about it. I think, and the reason I did it was because my motivation was so strong
Mm.
for what I wanted to achieve, and I understood from what I'd learned from everyone that to get there, these are the steps that I've got to go through. So I just had, it's like doing bungee jumping. Not that I've ever done that or ever will, but yeah, I had to sort of just jump off and take that risk, I think.
Welcome to today's episode of The Power Shift. And today we will be focusing on pioneers in health tech. So, pioneers, so being at the forefront, trailblazed, not being done before, proper beaten path where the path is not even there yet, right? And there are so many opportunities in health tech for doctors to do just that. So it's a real pleasure to introduce to you actually what a lot of doctors see as a celebrity now. He is a celebrity, I have to say, having joined our program over a year ago and is doing that in music health tech. Dr. Gordon Leroux, who is a founder and CEO of Medicord, which is an incredible music health tech consultancy. And he is also a GP partner and a faculty, one of our transformational career strategists on our program, having graduated from the Doctors in Industry program in March this year. So, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Abena. Yeah, that's quite an introduction to sort of hear back at oneself when I think where I was about a year ago. Yeah,
Mm.
that's quite. I'm quite proud to hear that.
Yeah, well, I think it's really important to say that back to you because it's only when you've heard it from others you're like, "Oh yeah, I did do that. Oh yeah, I have made that journey. Oh yeah, it is super cool." Because yeah, and don't underestimate some of the real challenges, the day-to-day challenges in getting this done and moving forward. It's hard, but when you look at the bigger picture and look at how people see you, like they just, I mean, like as I always say, we always say to Gordon, like we have doctors name dropping Gordon who are like, he's never met them. They're like, oh yeah, I want to do like music health tech like Gordon LaRue. Anyway, let's just get started to like how you ended up here. So before the program, right? So GP, you're
Mhm.
also a musician, right? Which is really cool. How did you end up coming to Doctors in Industry? What is it that you were seeking and why?
I mean, at that stage, I wasn't seeking to blend my medical career with music specifically at that point because I just couldn't see how that was ever possible. I was looking just for an alternative option to clinical work, and wanted to sort of explore those options. And I'd done coaching, and come to the conclusion just through sort of a process of elimination. I thought, well, pharma seems the logical option because that there's a specific pathway to it, and there's a job involved, and yeah, and I couldn't really see myself fitting into anything else. But I also came to open-minded to sort of want to explore more, and if the path led me elsewhere, then so be it. And that's sort of how I started with you on the program.
So I'm just curious, why pharma? I mean, yes, structure, yes, job, yes, a lot of similarities when it comes to like healthcare institution, age, longevity. Obviously there's a clinical training pathway, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
It's the path very well trodden. Why did that appeal to you?
I think it appealed for perhaps the wrong reason. I
Mm,
can sort of reflect on it now. I have a friend who works in pharma and I know how much he earns, and I thought, well, that sounds doable because I've still got a mortgage to pay. And if I'm going to make any transition, then I need to do it sensibly and I don't want to rock the boat with my family. So that seemed to do that. It I think I liked the idea of a structure because at that point, all I ever knew was a structure going through the
Mm,
medical treadmill. And so it seemed an easy option to sort of just follow another pathway. Um,
mm,
and I think I'd looked at lot. I think I'd thought about health tech, and I thought, well, don't really know anything about it. So, and it just seems all vague and nebulous. I wouldn't even know where to start on that. So, I sort of just pushed that one aside. So yeah, and funnily enough, I'm not a particularly techie person, ironically, if people know me well. Um, but perhaps I'm being unfair on myself there. But yeah, I just didn't see that that was an option for me.
mm. By the way, I don't see you as a non-techie person. Like even the new things we introduced to you, you've like got on it. So
Well,
don't say that.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
At work, people joke to me that it literally took a pandemic for me to change from my old tiny little phone to get a smartphone. I was the last one to do it, and now I love it.
Well, you did it. You
I
did
did
it.
it.
You're
Yeah.
here. So I hear the structure, financial stability is important. It seemed like the easy option, but it's interesting that you were also, been behind that, around that, also open to other things. So I guess the question is, once you joined the program, what actually changed? Why did you move away from that farmer? Because that happened relatively quickly. I remember you saying, actually, I've
Mhm.
decided. I'm
Mhm.
not going to go down that route, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure which route now. So, like, how did you get there? Like, what happened?
I mean, I think I threw myself into it from the beginning
Yeah.
and really just owned being this farmer person and put myself on LinkedIn and just went for it and decided to sort of live the experience. And through living that experience and going to a conference to do with it and stuff like that, it just didn't sit well with me.
Mm,
And I remember then having a conversation with you at one of our sort of strategy meetings where in your very good way that you do it, you sort of probe deeply to my core and sort of pulled out this music thing that I hadn't told you about before, and that was that sort of almost that green light to say actually it's okay to sort of you know identify yourself with that and make something of it. And I mean, I had in the background, to be fair, had heard of music health tech as a thing because I think I'd just Googled it and some companies had popped up, and I sort of thought, oh well, there's not many of them about, and how am I ever going to fit into that? So again, I just cut that one off dead in the water again.
mm.
I didn't see that it was an option for me. I didn't allow myself to go down that route.
So this was before Farmer,
Yeah.
or was that just
Or
okay?
yeah, before or during or somewhere around that time. Yeah, it was in the back
Mm,
of my mind a little bit.
yeah,
I just
okay.
it was the mindset, as you say, that my mindset was closed to that as an option,
Hmm.
um, and it was that shift in mindset that allowed me to see that I could actually go down that route and then flip, about turn and refashion myself on LinkedIn
Mm.
as the music health tech, expert and carve this new route out for me myself because there wasn't any model that I could base it on really.
Yeah, I mean, it's so courageous and incredible and just really inspiring because this is the route that most doctors will never take, right? And as you said, like most doctors, you said pharma was your first choice, because it seemed like the obvious thing that most doctors would do, stability, all of that stuff. Um, and it's as you said, the easy option. Right? But I'm really glad that you also described that having thrown yourself into it and took ownership and authority, and which is we know is part of the process in order to do your market research and to engage, you have to own your identity. You said, well, it didn't sit well with me, right? And it's interesting because when he did come up with music health tech, it was like, wait, where did that come from? But it's interesting, it was actually in the back of your head. And so what gave you permission to actually go for it? You know?
Um, I don't know. I feel like I want to say you gave me permission, but obviously that's not the case. But I
Mm,
think I think in a way you sort of validated that you could do anything that you want to do. And it just sort of allowed me to sort of think, actually, yeah, I can do anything that I want to do. And this is something that I do really love, and suddenly realized that I could make something of it. Yeah, it was just yeah, I think I do give you credit for just opening up that idea in me, and if it wasn't for that, my mind was quite closed, and then
Mm.
just suddenly my brain just sparked off all these ideas, and it just blew up from there. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can actually visualize that. You're talking about your mind was closed to like a certain way of doing things, and then there was a door or that opened, and actually, way so many other possibilities just exploded, right? And like this event effect, I actually haven't decided what to call it yet, is something that I see a lot when we're talking about transformational mindset shifts, because a lot of things that hold us doctors back is our way of thinking. Because in order to get where we've gotten, succeeding in medicine, um, and thinking about the number of years we've been doing it, like not even talking about medical school, um, we have had to play a certain game, and we've been around people who are all like us to get to that position. And actually, it is a system. It requires a certain mindset that is actually quite rigid when you look at it from the outside, right? And you don't see those possibilities until A, you're given permission to do it. And B, you see what the possibilities are just being around other people who are doing something similar or like-minded. And yeah, so I mean, it's just incredible just to hear you actually describe that. And just going, like moving forward just to the going on LinkedIn. Well, we all know that you didn't just go on LinkedIn, right? It's not, and actually there were a lot of internal hurdles. I know you've shared with us, and shared today, that you overcame. Um, that like someone when you say, "Oh, I was like this not that long ago," I like we were all in like complete shock, because it's a very different Gordon that we're seeing now, who's like putting yourself out there on a daily basis on LinkedIn. So I guess to like how how has that shift also helped you to overcome some of these, like, okay, say like visibility hurdles? So a lot of doctors struggle with like, I don't want to put myself out there, like people out there who are doing it, I'm not like them, they have no fear, I don't have anything to share, no achievements. How have you really moved through those? Because everyone has them. And the
Yeah, I
difference with the
mean,
people that are
yeah,
doing it and the ones that aren't is the ones that are doing it have worked through their fear. And that
yeah,
fear doesn't ever go. I'm
no,
speaking from personal experience. But anyway, please, yeah.
yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, before this, I was not on social media, full stop. Facebook, nothing. Absolutely, you wouldn't see me on the internet at all. Um, and as I think I've said to you before, I've sort of come from a place of being quite socially anxious coming out of the pandemic and all the problems that that sort of created for a lot of us. So I was bringing that baggage along with me as well, to have to sort of conquer to be able to go onto social media and LinkedIn. I mean, I think in many ways LinkedIn is almost a safe option because it's a business platform. So you've got that level of social protection in terms of how you put yourself out there. So that is a degree of reassurance for anyone that might struggle with that. Um, I think. And how did I conquer it? I mean, I just did it. I think I did it before I had a chance to start worrying about it. I think, and the reason I did it was because my motivation was so strong
Mm.
for what I wanted to achieve, and I understood from what I'd learned from everyone that to get there, these are the steps that I've got to go through. So I just had, it's like doing bungee jumping. Not that I've ever done that or ever will, but yeah, I had to sort of just jump off and take that risk, I think.
Yeah, it is like a leap. it is like jumping off a cliff and trusting that that rope isn't going to break,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And you will kind of bounce higher than you were when you
Hmm.
first started.
Hmm.
which is the case, right? So no, I totally hear that. And just really honing in on the motivation and the goal was actually greater than your fear.
Yeah.
And, that's what, I'd love to remind everyone, especially doctors that are listening. It's like your future is going to be bigger and better and greater than your past and your present.
Hmm. Hmm.
And just hearing that and reminding yourself of that should be motivation enough to move forward,
Hmm.
because that is what that is why a lot of us do go on that journey, because we are looking for bigger, better, greater than what we have now,
Yeah.
right? And I know a lot of doctors, they struggle with that element,
Hmm.
because it's like, what you know, it's comfortable, the devil you know, the devil you don't.
Hmm.
But you don't realize actually how much that can hold you back, drag you down, affecting your life, and you don't know that necessarily until
Hmm.
you've moved forward.
Hmm.
And like, I
Yeah.
remember you were saying actually now you enjoy your clinical practice more than you did
Hmm.
before. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, because I'm now doing something new and different and something that is exciting and fun for me. It just sort of it breaks up the week, it reinvigorates me so that it just doesn't feel like drudgery all the time. And then that feeds back positively into my general mood, which means it allows me to enjoy, my GP work that I do on the rest of the week much more than I was before.
Great, great. And I've heard that story so many times. It's like having that balance, and realizing that your values don't stop in the clinical world,
Mhm.
right? And having that perspective on both sides, the commercial and clinical. But moving forward to like music health tech in general, beforehand, obviously, besides being a GP partner, you didn't really have any like specific commercial background or anything like that. But through this program, you've developed that, right? How have you done that?
How have I done that? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, firstly, on the program, there's a lot of teaching and learning and modules to work through. So that's been a good starting point. And then it's just putting a bit like medicine in a way. I think towards the end of my 5 years of doing my medical degree, I was a bit fed up with it because still feel like I don't know anything. And where I really learned
Mm.
to do stuff is when I actually started doing it for real.
Hmm.
And it's similar with this, through doing meetings with, countless numbers of CEOs and founders from companies, talking to them about what they do, that has been the practical experience of me being able to, you know, sell myself and show what I can do and all the sort of the commercial elements to a business discussion because that really is a business discussion as opposed to the clinical discussions, which is what I do in my other job. So just doing it, and I can remember some of those very early discussions. I sort of felt nervous about it and not sure what to ask, and I've become a lot more slick and quick and focused at it as time's gone on.
Hmm. And brilliant. And like, 'cause a lot of doctors think, oh, I've got to do an MBA, or I've got to learn and learn and learn and learn before I can even talk to a company, right? And I see it time and time again, that's not the case at all. It's like the opposite, absolutely the opposite. And really developing, as you said, that the commercial acumen is from having conversations, being a really great listener, understanding the business through the lens of the person, usually the founder, the CEO, the decision maker, because every business is different,
Hmm.
right? Even within your niche, I'm sure you've seen that every business, the
Yeah.
challenges may be similar, but the actual way that they're addressing them and the way that they work is different. And just going back to like niching,
Hmm.
right? So for those of you listening, niching is really about choosing an area that's very specific. So it's like choosing a specialty, but we always talk about how the power of the niche is crucial to your own value. So in this case, Gordon, like there's no other doctors really in music health tech. So this is something you had to came in creatively with. And being a musician, you're well positioned to be creative. And then, but what for you, like what has been the benefits of essentially being the only person, the only doctor in this niche? Because a
Yeah,
lot of doctors will be like, oh no, I'm not going to niche because then like, there won't be anything or there won't be enough for me. Or I'll just shut,
mm.
I'll end up, no, I hear this, that I'll end up shutting myself out from everyone and there's not going to be enough work. What would you say to that?
Well, that's not true. I mean, the thing is, I acknowledge that that's certainly a fear, and that is a fear that I have had as well, because my niche is extremely small. Although the more that I've explored it, the broader it's actually become as I've discovered. Um, but nevertheless, it is small, and because I'm the only one doing it, these companies have got no one else to go to but me, and there's no one else offering exactly what I offer in the breadth that I offer it. I mean, I mean, some companies do go to say a doctor that's working in a hospital and team up with them and do a project, but they're not a music health tech consultant, and they can just give a narrow, nuanced advice on whatever is that they want it. So yeah, it's a unique offering, and it means that I've got no competition, which is a good thing. It means the companies know who to go to if they want specific help, and I am the only one, which is good. And it means that I can actually focus my attention because otherwise it would just be too broad, and you wouldn't know where to even start. And you end up diluting yourself, I think, across
Mm.
a broad spectrum of health tech. And actually, you would then find it hard to sell your unique value to a
Mhm.
company because they would just see you as a bit vague and a bit broad, and
Mhm.
therefore probably not able to help them with their particular problem. And so you then just get lost amongst the sea of doctors trying to do that. So there's a lot of value in narrowing yourself down and getting noticed and then creating those opportunities from there.
Absolutely. I mean, you get noticed, I find you get noticed quicker as well, because like, we're not here to do this, spend years and years and years trying to get noticed, which a lot of doctors do,
Mhm.
right? Applying for jobs, going for the same things that every other doctor's going for now, because like that's what everyone's doing right now. And so this is why it's so important that A, you're not waiting for a job, B, you're creating opportunities for yourself, so
Mhm.
you're not fitting yourself into a box like we're all used to doing. It's the other way around, you're cherry picking. I kind of see it like in A&E where, well, we weren't allowed to cherry pick, but sometimes I did, where like you have a list of files and you're like, I'm not sure, do UTI, 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 resus. I love resus, so I'd be like straight over there. But you get to really control like who you work with, the type of work you do, the amount of work you do, the pricing, the problems that you solve. And
Mhm.
even within the niche, there are different types of companies. You've got startups, you've been speaking to big or like multinational organizations,
Mhm.
and so you've got that diversity within it. And say, for example, I know you had a lot of doctors who are like, I can I get in and have some of this? Like, there's more than enough work to go out around, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And it again, I mean, even, if someone's interested in getting into music and health, that in itself is a very uh, broad category, and music health tech is a subdivision of that in itself. So there's many different areas that you can explore within that, and it just depends what particular service you want to offer to a company.
Mm, absolutely. So let's talk about the actual clients, right? And so going on the other side, 'cause it's so important as doctors to really understand. And if you really want to create value, provide value, sell yourself, get really chunky contracts, you've got to really understand the way that clients and employers actually think, how they see you, what their challenges are. So, what would you say are some of the blind spots or the challenges that the decision makers that you've been speaking to, and the commonalities that you've seen, particularly in this space?
Yeah, again, I mean, it depends on what stage the company's at, but in this particular field, a lot of them are at the startup stage, and they don't have a medic on the team. And the common thing that they often say to me is that, I'm not a medic, I don't have any medical background, I don't know anything about healthcare. And that's their big sticking point, and that's where they see the value of a doctor coming into a team. And I think that's applicable across the health tech spectrum in general. So whatever niche you decide to go down, relatively few companies have a medic on board on the team, giving that sort of day-to-day strategy that they need in order to direct themselves.
Mhm.
And I think a problem that a lot of founders will have is that they'll come up with this amazing product um, that just seems the best invention ever, but they haven't quite thought how that's going to fit into the marketplace and what problem is that going to solve for the doctor, or what problem that's going to create for the doctor, and hence why they're struggling to sell it.
Mm.
So, you know, ideally, you want a chief medical officer on board on the team really early on to help the team make the right decisions so that they don't make mistakes that then last 6 months down the line before they realize it and then have to redo everything again. Um, and costly mistakes then at the same time. So yeah, I think that it's a broad. I've given you a vague answer, I know, but it's because there's a lot of different problems that different companies need solving, but it's in that general sphere, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like for as you said, for a lot of these companies, it's about getting to market, and the end user is going to be the patient or the individual, whether it's health, whether it's medical or wellness. But the buyers are usually going to be healthcare providers,
Mhm,
usually, as you said, doctors. And as we know, doctors are more likely to be doctors than they are salespeople,
mhm,
right? There, and they'll be like, is this medically credible? What is the evidence base behind that?
mhm,
And most people wouldn't necessarily know how to actually have that conversation with doctors. And so
mhm,
this is where like you come in, where not only you understand the clinical and the healthcare space, you also understand from the founder's perspective or the CEO's perspective from a business case. And it is like being on
mhm,
the intersection of both, that is where your unique value is,
mhm, mhm,
especially in this space. Because if you're able to do both, then you're
mhm.
way more employable, hireable, etc., etc. And
Yeah,
most doctors are not. And even though doctors who go and do MBAs, that's theory. That's not practice.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's really great to hear that that's where the value is, because like we have companies, the startups like raising millions, and
Mhm,
investors are like, so is this medically credible? How are you getting ahead with this? And they're like, I don't know.
mhm,
And still sometimes they're like, here's some money. And the thing is, it's surprising or not surprising, and I really want to point this out to doctors listening. Music health tech companies founded by non-clinicians. This is like normal in health tech. It's very rare to see a health tech company that's founded by an actual clinician, right? I know like we struggle as doctors on the credibility piece, but these companies are raising and making millions and do not have a single clinician in sight. So I really want you to kind of absorb that and see like actually what does that mean for you? Where's the gap in the market, the opportunity? But if these people are doing it, then why can't you?
mhm,
Because we say, oh, we can't do that, we're not credible. And this is the institutional mindset speaking. And so rounding off, I mean, you've had such an incredible journey. I know like this is still the beginning,
mhm,
of your trailblaze. What again, what advice, what tips, what insights, key insights would you give to doctors who are like either like on their journey to industry? Like what key insights would you share with them to say, like if you do this, it will transform and catapult, because we see so many doctors who are just like stuck
mhm,
in
mhm.
so many different ways. So what would you share?
I think you need to sort of reflect on yourself that first of all, do you want to step away as the first thing, and what is your motivation for stepping away? Are you running away from something that you don't like, or are you running towards something that you think might be fun and life-giving and transformative for your career? And I think if you're still stuck in with wanting to run away from it, then I think you're going to struggle to move forward. So that's the first thing. And I had a little bit of coaching before I came on the program, and I think that sort of helped to sort of shift my mindset from the negative to the positive. So that's the first thing, and then it's really just searching really deeply for what it is that rocks your boat, really. What gets you up in the morning, and it doesn't have to be a medical thing, because ultimately this is non-clinical that we're looking at. And because our minds have been so stuck in medical, we find it hard to realize that actually we have got a life outside, and how can I bring elements of things that I enjoy as a person into what I want to do in the future. And that was my realization. I've been trying for years to try and mesh together music and health, and have not really worked out how to do it until now.
Mm.
And that's what's keeping my drive going forward from here.
Wonderful. And like time is precious. We don't know how long we have in life in general, right?
Mhm.
And so like we were having a chat on our WhatsApp group for this event coming up for the Leap. And there's so many doctors that are like, I've been thinking about doing something for years. And I said, oh, the longest I've heard of is 9 years. And then someone on our group was like, 21 years is I've been thinking about it for 21 years. And someone else said 22 years. And I was like, okay. But that's not unusual. And
Mhm.
it's scary, it's shocking, it's sad, but it's great that these people have moved forward. But I'm
Yes.
always asking the question, how do we help more doctors move forward in one way or another? It does not have to be program, but like it's actually taking action
Mhm.
despite the fear. And I think the key is like hearing your stories, hearing your journey, but realizing your future is going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible. It is incredible and it's waiting. It's waiting now. And it's been waiting. It can wait for another 10 years, maybe or not, right? And if that isn't much of a motivator, also think about the people that you want to really help and serve needed you yesterday. And how long are you going to make them wait? How much longer? Because there are so many people, industry partners, decision makers, patients that are desperate in need for the right products, the right services that are aligned with their health needs. And this is where doctors come in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know I go off on my tangent, but yeah. But anyway, it was wonderful having you on the podcast. How do people get hold of you?
LinkedIn is the best way. I'm easy to find there. Dr. Gordon LaRue, music health tech doctor. Should be pretty easy to Google me now.
Yeah. It's unremarkable, unremarkable. I would say it's yeah. Gordon LaRue music. And as I said, I think you need to rename your company and just it's Gordon LaRue. That is the brand. Elevate
Yes,
your brand. It's your name. That is you. So great. Anyway, thank you so much, Gordon. And I'll be seeing you like all the time because that's like we hang out. All
wonderful. Pleasure. Thanks
right.
so much.
Take care. Take care.